Om Sadashivasamarampham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam. So we saw this issue of the limitations of words, etc., and how the whole thing has to work. The difficulty of the whole thing. At the same time, how since so many ornaments are available, it's easy to point out the gold. Okay. And so many ornaments are available right here, so it is not it's not a problem to point out the gold. Okay. Having said that, let's start with any word. You can start either with Sat or with Chit. Satyam or Chaitanya. Jananam. Satyam, Jananam, Anantam, Brahma. Remember the definition. So either you can start with Satyam or you can start with Jananam. Doesn't matter. Let's start with Jananam for a change. Okay. Well, generally I prefer to start with Jananam. Now let us understand that word Jnanam. Remember, Jnanam has to be understood in the context of Anantam. Existence right now is easy to understand. Why? Because Jnanam is existing anyway. Whatever meaning of Jnanam you take, it is an existing thing. So for the time being, let us leave it like that. We will come back to that word. So Jnanam Anantam. Now if you look at the word, world, you will find there is a knower, there is a known, and there is knowledge. Therefore, the three meanings of the word Jnanam, really speaking, cover the whole world. Isn't it? It's Jnanam, knowledge of the world. But me, the Jnata, the knower, and Jnayam, the world, Jnanam, the knowledge of the world, the mind with which I know everything. This four, the whole world is covered. Is there anything else? Nothing else. What about things I don't know? All unknowns can become known. At least you know I don't know it. That much known it is. Therefore, that's all. But it has to be Anantam. Which meaning can you take for it to be Anantam? Because knowledge is not Anantam. Knowledge is one thing or the other thing. Known is also not Anantam. Why? All known things, the whole universe is time bound, space bound. So it is not Anantam. Knower, we know you and me. In fact, we don't want to be Anantam. We don't, forget Anantam, we don't want to put on even 5 kilos of weight. Forget being Anantam. Even a 5 kilo expansion we don't want it. Yeah. So Anantam kidhar se? Unless you are practicing martial qigong, tai chi and things like that, then you will try to expand everything, use your breathing, etc. Let the energy flow through when an expansion takes place. But even then, where Anantam, the very fact that some expansion can take place shows you are finite, you are Antam, Santam, not Anantam. You are Santam, not Anantam. Therefore, here is where Vedanta really comes in and says, take the word Jnanam as the knower and take it Don't, because the direct meaning is this. But if you have to take it as Anantam, from the knower, you have to negate all that limits it. From the word knower, later on I'll apply this same process for knowledge and object of knowledge also. Okay? I will apply that. But right now, I have to take the word knower and negate from it all that limits it. Because anything limited cannot become Anantam. So look at the interesting thing that you are left with now. Who is the knower? Me. मैं हूँ ना. इधर ही है. If I can speak some Bombay Hindi, okay? Bombay. Anyway, we speak Bombay. Where do we speak Shuddha Hindi? Bombay. Only people from Delhi, etc., will speak some pure Hindi. So when I was in Rishikesh, big problem to speak to all the Mahatmas. So I would tell them, Dakshini hu, Hindi nahi aata. Ati? Aata. What is it? I'm still not sure. Hindi nahi aati ya Hindi nahi aata. I mean, I know I am masculine, but I thought the object governed the word. The case as far as Hindi is concerned. I'm not sure. Maybe someone of you can enlighten me. Hindi nahi aati ke Hindi? Aati na? Haan. I thought that was the right one. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So, let us take the word knower. And knower as the meaning of the word Jananam. Someone is having some fun without muting. Okay. So, let us take the word Jananam as knower. And from that, since it has to be Anantam, let us negate all that will limit it. Okay? This is how the teaching works. Alright, knower is what? What do you see? Me, here, I. Each one of you can say that. I am the knower. Okay, fine. You are the knower, alright. So let us start. Fundamental limitation, your body. The body is definitely something that limits you. However fit and strong and powerful, all that you are, it's a limited body. It's a limited body. What can it do? Even if it was Bhima's body, still the body is limited. So, negate. For the time being, understanding wise, let us negate. Alright, from the word Janam, let us negate the form body. Exactly like how from the golden bangle you negate the bangle to understand the golden. In the same way. Okay. Negate the body. But is the body not me? Yeah, in a way, from one standpoint. From the functional standpoint, definitely you. The body is you. Really? No, not really. Why? Because you have a subject-object relationship with your own body. And your experience also backs it up. When you say, I am short, अरे 5.5 feet, I'm short. You mean I equals body. But when you say, Arey yaar, after my morning session, na, when Swami was taking a session, I had a nice Tai Chi practice. My body is sore now. My body feels like it has been put through a wringer. 2 hours of Tai Chi. Heavy duty martial Qigong. When I say that, my body feels like this, you are taking the body as mine, not as I. When you say I am short, you are taking it as I. When you are saying my body is sore, obviously it is mine, not I. The same thing cannot be both. Okay. My phone, not iPhone, even though some of your phones may be iPhones. Okay. It is still mine, it cannot be I. Even if it is I, it is mine. That means what? There is a confusion. So we bring in a simple logic because of which you can negate what you are aware of, you are not. What you are aware of, you are not. That means you are not the body. Exactly like gold is not the bangle. Bangle is a form of gold, but gold is not limited to the bangle. Gold is independent of the bangle. It can be in any form. Similarly, you are not limited by the body. The body is dependent on you, all right. My little friend I can see in the background. Yes, she is one of my keenest students. Yeah. Good to see you, Betty. Good to see you. Nice. Yeah. So, look at it. It's my body, maybe. But from the body, I have negated what? From the me, the knower, I have negated the body. Because that's limiting factor. Like from that golden bangle, you negated the bangle. Okay. So similarly, what all have you taken along with the knower I? Knower now, let us put it as I, because you are the knower anyway. Your energy systems, which is so important nowadays. Everyone is talking about high energy, low energy, all that thing. That is what you are manipulating now. By your breathing, by your exercise, everything you are playing around with it. Not you. Like how you play around with this body, you can play around with your prana, your energy. It's an object of your awareness, not you. Alright, then from the knower, what else? Another limiting factor, your emotions, etc. Clouds your knowing, your subjectivity, your emotions, which clouds your understanding of issues. That's what gives you a bias. Emotions only. If you don't like somebody, whatever the guy does is wrong. If you like somebody, whatever the guy does is good. That's why they say, na? You can hate him or love him, but you can't ignore him. It's your own bias. Okay. It's your own bias. Emotions. Limiting factor. Okay. You are aware of your emotions. You have a subject-object relationship with your emotions. They may be your emotions, all right, for the time being, but they are not you. That is why you can change them. Today I like the guy. Tomorrow find out something about the guy, forget it, yaar, this character is an idiot. For whatever reasons. So, emotions are changing anyway. Even if you don't like it, they are changing. Sometimes you don't like your emotions to change, but they change. Another limiting factor, emotions, not you. They are dependent on you in some ways, but they are not you. Like how the bangle is dependent on gold, similarly, your emotions are dependent on you, but you are not the emotion. Then your reasoning factor, buddhi, which in old books you will find people using the word intellect. I don't know who started that usage, intellect, but whatever. It has something. Maybe the word intellectual, the basis for that. So, reasoning, buddhi. Because of reasoning you gain all the knowledge, isn't it? But your own reasoning that limits the knowledge also. An error in reasoning leads to erroneous knowledge. It's like mathematics. You make some small, simple mistake somewhere, the whole thing goes off after that. Your process may be right, but everything else is off. Even if your reasoning is right and you come to a piece of knowledge, it is still finite. Therefore, your buddhi helps you gain knowledge, but all the knowledge is limited. So, your buddhi is also limiting the knower. Negate. What is left behind? If knowledge is gone, what is left behind? My ignorance alone is left behind. With your ignorance also, you have a subject-object relationship. You are aware of your ignorance. Are you not aware of your ignorance? If you are not aware of your ignorance, you will never be able to gain knowledge. And the people who are not aware of their ignorance usually are the arrogant people. They are very arrogant. People think knowledgeable people are arrogant. No. Ignorant people are even more arrogant. I call that the arrogance of ignorance. It's like when we used to work with street children. We will ask a kid, street kid. He has run away from home at 10 when he was about 8 or 9 years old. Now he is about 11, 12. No one is sure. Say, काम करेगा? पैसा मिलेगा? हाँ, पैसा मिलेगा. काम करेगा? हाँ, काम करेगा. Of course I will do work. What work will you do? सब कुछ. I can do anything. It looks like confidence, it is not. For me to make him learn, I have to break down that arrogance first. So how do I do it? I'll put him in front of a lathe machine or a driller or something. They चला ना, सब कुछ काम करेगा ना, चला. Make it work. He'll look around. Because even the switches are not like your residential switches. They're different. He doesn't even know how to put it on. अभी सीखेगा काम? हाँ जी, सीखेगा. Immediately that arrogance has come down. Why? Because he understood that he doesn't know this. So when you are aware of your ignorance, a certain natural humility will come in. Like all of us, we know we don't have the last word in anything. Yeah, we know that. Therefore, my ignorance I am aware of, not me. Then what is left behind? Because of the word Anantam, I negated all these things that are limiting factors. I can't find any more limiting factor. Then what are you? What is left behind? The teaching comes here and says, Nyapti matram. Simple awareness, consciousness. Simple consciousness. Awareness without any limiting adjunct. Why? We started with knower. Knower is an awareful being. Remember? We started with you. And you are an awareful being. That is bottom line. So from this awareful being, we are negating all the limitations. In fact, all that makes it a being is being limited. Being means an entity. Being means an entity. Negated, negated, negated. What is left behind? Awareness or consciousness. Now there is a lot of literature available on the net about the question of consciousness. In fact, some dimensions of science has started looking at this question of consciousness. But all that they are talking about is consciousness as awarefulness, as the consciousness that is manifest in your mind. We are not talking about that consciousness. We are talking about the consciousness that is aware of your mind. Right now. Oh, my usual props are not there. Yes. It's there. What am I holding in my hand? A pen? Hopefully it looks like one. Yeah, it is. Some of my students are hesitant to answer. They think, is it some self-defense weapon or something like that? No. I mean, it is a self-defense weapon for me. World is full of weapons, so what's the problem? Yeah. But this is a pen. Okay. Are you aware of this pen? When you say you are aware of this pen, that is the knowledge that is happening in your mind. Now look at my question. Are you aware that you have knowledge of this pen? When you say yes to that, you have taken a step back from your mind and you have objectified the mind and the knowledge in the mind, isn't it? I know this pen, mind function. I am aware of my knowledge of the pen. I have taken a step back from the mind and I have objectified the mind and the knowledge in the mind. That second one is pure jnapti, consciousness, which is not manifest in the mind, but which objectifies the mind. Which when manifests in the mind you call knowledge. When manifests in the mind you give it a name knower. When manifests in the mind you will give it a name the knower, the awarer. But when you take a step back and say, I know the knowledge, I know that I am a knower. When you take that step back, we are talking about pure consciousness, which is you, non-different from you. We are talking about you, remember this. Because we started with the word knower. From the word knower, what do I negate? My body, my prana, my emotions, my buddhi, my knowledge, my ignorance. All that was negated. What is left behind is what? Pure consciousness. Now we have to see whether this pure consciousness fits in with Anantam. Correct? We have to see that. Does it fit in with the idea of Anantam? Does it fit in with that? Yeah. We have to see that. Yeah. Does it fit in with Anantam? I'm getting all young students in the group today. It's nice to see that. This is how my life gets extended, because all these kids I have to teach now. So when I go to the astrologer, he keeps pushing my lifespan by another few years every time. So I told him, now you're not going to look at my lifespan at all. Just imagine if I have to teach that kid how long I'll have to live. Another 25 to 30 years. Gadbad ho jayega. Anyway, jokes apart, there is some truth in it. It's not entirely a joke, but that we will see later. When we are talking about this consciousness, we have to see whether it's really Anantam or not. Agreed. We are knocked off most of the all the factors that we know that is limiting it. Somebody brought in a question once. What about the unconscious which holds karma, etc. in it? All that is negated with the ignorance. The unconscious, ignorance, etc. negates everything. Karma is also a finite entity. It looks although almost infinite, but it is finite. Karma phala looks that it's finite. Negated, the unconscious negated along with ignorance. Subconscious along with the mind and buddhi, that's also negated. Now let us look at the word consciousness. What is the possibility of limiting? What can limit the word consciousness? This consciousness that I am talking about, the one that is aware of your knowing mind, not that consciousness which is manifest consciousness in the mind, but the one that is aware of that manifestation, that pure consciousness. Shuddha Chaitanyam, Jnapti Matram. If you refer to Shankara's commentary, he'll say Jnapti Matram. Abhi dekhega, if it is Jnapti Matram, what can limit it? Can anyone suggest anything that can limit it? Difficult, because all the things that can limit we are negated. Let us say, bring in fundamental factors of limitation. Everything in the world, in fact the world as such, is limited by time and space. Anything in the world is limited by time and space. Okay, so let us take these two factors and see whether that can limit consciousness. Because if that can limit consciousness, then you are right. Consciousness is limited. Now, let us start with time. Some of you may have heard it before. Okay. Let us look into the question of what is time. What is time? This what is time question always brings a story to my mind. I was walking with an American friend near Colaba. He wanted to see that old buildings and everything. So I was walking in Colaba, and this man comes and asks me, "Sir, what is time?" So I told him, 4:30 baj gaya. And my American friend turns down to me and says, "Wow, you Indians are really philosophical. A man on the street came to you and asked, what is time? And you gave him an answer which seemed satisfactory to him also." Okay, now I am not using it in that sense of what is time, and really using in the term to say, understand what is this question called time. Okay. Now there are various ways of going into this question of time. Okay. Various ways of going into it. The most common understanding of time that we have is the scientific paradigm, because today everything is looked upon in the scientific paradigm. Therefore, let us start with that. Okay. How time is a finite entity can be decided propounded in 100 different ways. Okay. But do you know there are so many animals that their idea of time and our idea of time is so different? A cockroach lives only for 2 weeks. It is indestructible. It will survive a nuclear holocaust. But it lives only for 2 weeks. And in the 2 weeks, there is an entire life cycle. It becomes mature, it marries, it has children, and it dies. Sometimes it's lucky to see the grandchildren also. All in 2 weeks. All in 2 weeks. So you think their idea of time is same as our idea of time? If you live on the moon, what will be your idea of day and night? Equivalent to 14 of our days. 1 day, 1 night is 14 days. Forget that. Go to Norway. I have some friends staying in Norway. For 4-5 months, they don't see the sun. So what will you talk about your biological clock there when there is no sun? All those of you who are learning yoga and Tai Chi, ask your Tai Chi teachers or yoga teachers, how will your biological clock work there? Very interesting to see that. I don't know whether they have thought about it, but whatever. So, back to the thing. The fundamental definition of time, whether it is scientific or otherwise, has to be a gap between two events. This is fundamental. This, every society, scientific or otherwise, understood. Science only made that event and the measurement of that two events more precise. But the gap between two events was understood even by primitive societies. Even now, you go to the tribals and ask them, when did this thing happen? 3 moons ago, you will say. Meaning 3 times the moon has risen and set. 3 moons ago. Three moons ago need not be 3 moon days. It could be 3 full moons, okay? So they'll make it 3 lunar months. So you have to be very careful of the paradigm. What do you mean by it? Okay. So the general measure, olden societies, agrarian societies, sunrise, sunset. It was enough, agrarian society. No? So gap between two events, sunrise and sunset, so we took it as day. From sunrise to sunset was day, from sunset to sunrise was night. Simple, very simple measure. But even in an agrarian society, okay, you needed some finer measurements. So they had morning, afternoon, night, some sort of. Then as the society developed and you needed more and more divisions of time, we created the yamam, 3 hours. 3 hours. So 4 yamam make a day, 4 yamam make the night. Then as the life started getting more, I don't know what to call it, sophisticated, we needed finer measurements. So the watch came into play, 12 hours. Why they made it 12 hours, I don't understand. Why couldn't they make it a decimal system? 10 hours day, 10 hours night. It can work, no? The hour will change. The length of the hour will change, that's all. But decimal system, imagine how much easier it will be for your kids to do all those physics problems. Solve all those physics problems. How many miles per hour? Abhi 12 se divide karne. Or 10 se divide karo, so much easier. Life would have been simple. Like how miles we made it simple into kilometers. Why can't we make time also like that simpler into a decimal system? Because we are so conditioned with that idea, we cannot think of changing it. 10 hours make the day, 10 hours make the night, 100 minutes per hour and 100 seconds per minute. Simple problem solved. Yeah. So much easier. Someone should try influencing the education system and all and doing this. Okay. It'll be easier for your kids. Anyway, jokes apart, we needed finer measurements. So what did we do? The basic thing of event of sunrise and sunset remained the same. And we started dividing up that time. The same way with calendar, which is another measurement of time. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday doesn't have much sense. In a solar calendar, the Gregorian calendar that we are using now, in what way is the 2nd of the month different from the 8th of the month? Not really. What's different? But if you look at the lunar calendar, there is a difference. Why? The face of the moon is different. The main star is different. Oh wow. So we are connected with the whole universe. It's actually the lunar calendar is a far more sophisticated calendar than the Gregorian calendar. But the Gregorian calendar was an attempt at simplification. Not really. Each king wanted to put his name into the calendar. So Julius, July after Julius Caesar, October after Octavian Caesar, like that it came in. Okay. So there were other logic for it to come in, whatever. Let's not go into that. The fact is that we are dividing our idea of time. But the time is still, basic is gap between two events. And for refined scientific calculations, there are seconds, microseconds, nanoseconds, picoseconds. It goes on further and further. Until they said, okay, let us make this division also scientific. They said the gap between two events will be two pulses of a quartz. Quartz radiate that. If you give it a little electricity, it starts pulsating. So your quartz watches. That's why these quartz watches are supposed to be more accurate. Though my watch is going a couple of minutes faster. Why? Because the measurement of time is now so, it's in such a nanosecond, or at least a microsecond. Not a nanosecond, I can't say it's nano, it's microsecond. That the pulse of between the gap between two pulses of a quartz is what we call 1 unit of time. Okay. But the basic definition that time is a gap between two events remain unchanged. For centuries it has remained unchanged. From the dawn of time it has remained unchanged. It is still the same. Gap between two events. And if it is a gap between two events, again going by the scientific paradigm, there is no event without an observer. fundamental basis in science. No event, you can't say there is an event if there is no observer. That's why that famous philosophical question, if a tree fell in the forest and there is nobody to see the tree fall, did the tree fall? Because for every event there has to be an observer. So let us leave the tree alone, that you can think about it. Okay. Don't ask in today's satsang, okay? No, not allowed. That question is for you to think. Okay. But no event without an observer. That means what? The gap between the two observations that we call time literally becomes one observation by the observer, second observation by the observer. What is an observer? What is an observation? A thought, oh, this has happened. Thought, another one flicker I saw, another flicker I am seeing of the thoughts. So the gap between two events becomes the gap between two thoughts. That is why when you don't have thoughts, you don't experience time. Like in deep sleep. Do you experience time? You get up, rub your eyes, decide whether you want to wake up and immediately get up or snooze for a few more minutes. Then finally you look at the watch and say, oh my God, 8 o'clock. Okay. Only then you are aware of the time. Only then you are aware of the time. So when you are no thoughts, no time. Why? What you call time is the gap between two events. One I am talking about from the experiential standpoint, the other I am talking with the scientific paradigm. But the fact remains the same, that all of time is nothing but the gap between two observations, between two thoughts. It's important to understand this very well, because we are stressed out with respect to time. You're really stressed out with respect to time. Hey, come on, start the comp. Only 1 minute left. 1 minute is a long time. 1 minute is a long time if you are relaxed about time. How many thoughts can happen in 1 minute? How many thoughts can happen? Millions of thoughts can happen in 1 minute. One minute you can easily run half a kilometer. Rather, not half a kilometer, about 300 meters you can run. Great distance covered. If you are in the MMA ring, martial art ring, the cage, and the 30-second gong goes and you are getting bashed up, to survive the 30 seconds, it seems a long time. And the guy who wants to knock out the other guy is saying, only 30 seconds, come on, give me a few more punches. It seems so short. The length of a minute depends upon which side of the bathroom door you are. No scientist has ever bothered about such investigations, okay? But isn't it true? It's highly subjective. Now we are trying to take something which is cognized subjectively and give it an objective frame of reference. That's what we are trying, isn't it? Trying to give it an objective frame of reference. And it's important to understand the mithyatvam of time, the relative nature of time. How time is nothing but a gap between two thoughts. That's why this yogi, the modern master, yogi talks about his experiences. He sat down and he went into a trance-like state, okay? Samadhi-like state. And he says, I thought only about, when I opened my eyes and looked around, I thought only 10 minutes had passed. But people had gathered around and they told me you were sitting down like that for days. True. Thoughts stop, where is time? There is no measurement of time if there is no thinking. What does that lead us to? That is important. When you are looking at yourself through these thoughts, through this flow of thoughts, through this gap between thoughts, you are getting an idea of time. So that when both of us say we'll start the class at 4 o'clock, so that both of us can be here more or less at 4 o'clock, because our Indian stretchable time, more or less at 4 o'clock. Okay? We try to give it an objective frame of reference, so that we have a subjective. There is something called time, and that time affects your body, all right? The time affects your body. Even though that guy sat down for days in Samadhi, when he got up, he couldn't straighten his knees. He has folded his legs and sat down. He couldn't straighten it out. Why? It had locked in. It had frozen up. Like how when you sit for hours, say 4 hours or something, in front of a comp, which happens very often now under lockdown, work from home, when you get up, what happens to your back? You have to stretch it out and things like that. That's only 4 hours. Imagine 10 days like that. So, time affects your body, all right. But time can limit only your body. You are looking at me through my thoughts, and there is an idea of time. Therefore, time does not limit anything more than your body. It does not limit your mind. It does not limit your emotions. There is nothing called old mind. There is something called a mature mind. Not an old mind. Mind doesn't have aging. We use that expression, old soul. That's an expression. A mature person. Yes, there is maturity, and maturity is not dependent on age. Maturity is definitely not dependent on age. Maturity is how clear your thinking is, how well you manage your emotions, how decisive your actions are. That's what maturity is about. How much you have learned from life, that's what maturity is about. How much you have learned from experiences yours and other people's, that's what maturity is about. It's not dependent on age. So, if this time cannot affect your mind, how is it going to affect you, the consciousness, as objectifying the mind? In fact, you are looking at consciousness through these thoughts and saying there is time. Therefore, you, the consciousness, the truth of time, is the very basis for time. Time is dependent on the consciousness. Consciousness is not dependent on time. Consciousness, you, is timeless. Anantam. It fits in now. The word consciousness fits in with the meaning of the word Anantam, limitless. The other limiting factor is space. Now, thanks to Stephen Hawking, time-space continuum we understand as one from a scientific paradigm. I mean, those who have read his book, those who have managed to read the first 2 chapters of his book. Most people start and they can't finish it. Yes, you need a strong science background to be able to finish that book. It's not easy. It's not easy book. Even though he tries to make it as simple as possible. And believe me, he did a great job of it. Okay, for someone who comes with a science background, I can say he did a great job of it. But it's difficult. For people who don't have college level of science, it is difficult. College level of physics, it is difficult. Okay. Though that's not the last word as far as creation is concerned, because the latest kid on the block is something called biocentrism, because when you're looking at purely through physics, you're leaving the question of consciousness out. Life is being left out. Anyway, I will go into that some other time. Okay, not this camp. But what biocentrism is about, how the whole thing paradigm, trying to combine the 2 paradigms, etc. They have touched this topic upon. If any of you have been following that serial, The Big Bang Theory, okay, Sheldon and his wife, one is a physicist, the other is a biologist, and they discover something known as superasymmetry. It is trying to bring in their question, though that theory is yet to be proved in science, that apart. Okay, it's just created for the serial, but yeah. But they will not be able to answer the question of consciousness, because science by its very definition limits itself. It can go only up to the manifested consciousness. You read all the books available. It's good for students of Vedanta to read these books. There will be some areas that will be confused, but not a problem. You can get it clarified with me or Swami, so what is our issue? Anyway, so this I consciousness is Anantam with respect to time. Time does not limit me. If time does not limit me, can space do? Space-time continuum is one. Therefore, something that is unlimited by time will be unlimited by space also. And it is not that this is a modern discovery. Whenever in the Shastra time is mentioned, space is not mentioned, because it's understood space is included. When space is mentioned, time is not mentioned. Why? It is understood time is included in space. Very beautiful way of doing it. It's understood. Yeah. Anyway, let us look at it separately and see also. Like, what is time? What is space? What is space? What can you talk about space? What is space? Okay, nicely said. Gap between 2 objects. And what is there in the gap? Space. So, is space an entity? Someone gave me this is I was not planning to go like that, but let me go like that, because someone said that. Okay, not that I was really planning what to say. That's why when I see people, I can make it even more spontaneous. Yeah, they're teaching more live and spontaneous. I can see people now. Now look at it. Gap between 2 objects. One advantage of keeping your house a bit messy is that everything is within reach. Between this object, one object book, another object book, 2 different books, okay. This gap is space, right? Am I compressing space by bringing the object together? Am I expanding it by taking it further apart? So what is space? Can you say nothingness? That's what I'm saying. If the distance, am I compressing the distance now? Am I expanding the distance? This is the distance I started with. Am I compressing it? Am I expanding it? No, no. All those are only meant for functioning. You will not come to the reality of what space is. Yes, our Shastras define it. Okay. Our Shastras define it as Avakasha Pradatru, that which accommodates everything. It's a very peculiar matter, which can allow other matter to exist. Normally, two matters cannot occupy the same space and time. One matter cannot occupy another matter. But space allows that. Why do you say space is a matter? Because something that you objectify, isn't it? You know there is space between you and me. Between this laptop screen and me, there is space. You know that. Even your girlfriend tells you, let's have some space. Then there is a lot more space. And this gets crowded with a lot more things. So, how do you see space? How do you know that between there and here there is space? How do you know that? Definitely it is not perception. Why it is not perception? Because for perception it has to reflect light. Perception is possible only if light is reflected from the object. Correct? And space does not reflect light. If space was going to reflect light, you would have a big problem. You would not see anything. You will not be able to see the source of light itself. Why? From the bulb, light came and space reflected it back. So you will not be able to see even a source of light. Forget other things. Space allows light to pass through without changing it in any manner. Even when light passes through water, the direction etc. changes. It's a deflection that happens. Remember your school physics. I am not talking of any advanced physics. But space allows it to go through. No issues. So how do you see space? Because to say something is there, you the observer has to be there. No? How can you say something is there? All of us are agreed space is there, right? Some of us have spent a lot of money on space. 650 square feet of space, one small flat in Bombay. In Chembur it cost more than 2 crores. Suburb like Chembur. 650 square feet. Kya hai ye? So you spend a lot of time on money on space, isn't it? Because what is it but space that you have bought? Because you can't do anything else. Can you break the walls and all? Yeah, you have to take municipal permission, this, that, society permission, municipal permission. 101 rules will come in. You can't do anything. So it's not yours. If it was yours, you could do anything you want to. And if space is all that you are buying, the infinite space is available for you. Take it. The problem is you can't take it. You cannot leave it. What can you do? But you know there is space. How do you know? If you are an architect, you will say, I don't know whether there is any architect in our group here. We work with space, You don't work with space. You put up stuff in space. That's why the new way of selling flats in Bombay. Builders profit a lot in this. Only the 4 outer walls are there. 4 outer walls and pillars are there. Inside you do what you want. How you want it, you make it. You make it. That means what? You have paid the builder all right, but you are doing the extra expense of making it inside. Smart characters. But you can make it as you want, Then you must bring the price down by a few thousand rupees for every square feet. No? That he doesn't do. Same price. Smart characters. And because we have our own aesthetic taste, we end up paying more money for that. Anyway, jokes apart, comments apart. How do you know space? Okay? In a traditional way of thinking, we'll say, in the sampradaya of teaching, we say, space is known without the necessity of a sense organ. Space is seen by you, directly known by you, without the necessity of a sense organ. Why am I saying directly known? Because space is the gap between 2 objects, right? Yeah. But are you saying between this object and this object there is nothing in between, therefore there must be space? Are you making an inferential conclusion or a presumption that there must be space? No, you're directly saying there is no space. So it's direct knowledge for you. That means it's directly seen by you, but without a sense organ. That's why even the blind is aware of space. I know this blind physiotherapist. Nobody gives him a job. Who will give a blind physiotherapist a job? So he goes about from house to house, treating people who require treatment at home, giving massage, etc. And since he knows the body well, because he's a physiotherapist, his massage is pretty good, safe. Young man, but blind. Stays at Vikhroli but travels up to Kolaba alone. Can you do that without being aware of space? You not only have to be aware of space, a lot of things in space also you have to be aware of. Therefore, space you know directly by the Sakshi, the witness himself, by the knower, the witness, without the necessity of a sense organ. Is something like that possible? Yes, of course it is possible. How do you know your emotions? Some of you are couples watching this, attending this camp together. I can see you all on the screen. Your mom, dad, or partner is sitting next to you. Do you care for that guy? Loaded question. Okay, no, I'm just giving it an example. Okay, I don't want you all to be fighting after the camp is over. You know, you care for this guy. Yeah, I care for him. You say, I know, I care for him. How do you know? Do you infer, I do this for him, therefore I must be caring for him? Or the love is there in your mind and you directly see that love, no? Allow him or allow her. Now the other guy may infer, no, she loves me because she does all these things for me. That may be a different thing. That may be a different thing. But for yourself and your own emotions, you see it directly without the necessity of a sense organs. It is not an inferential conclusion. That you love somebody, that you care for somebody, that you dislike somebody, that you can't stand that character. All that is directly seen by you without the necessity of a sense organ. Correct? Similarly, space is seen by you without the necessity of a sense organ. Are you telling the space is also subjective? It is both subjective and objective as far as your body. As far as your body is concerned, it is inside and outside both, isn't it? There is a subjective aspect for it. Because it is inside you, inside your stomach, inside. Sometimes a little bit more than necessary, but whatever is there. Sometimes there is no space inside because you are stuffed up with too many things. All the Mallus in this group on Monday afternoon, what will be your condition after your order Sadhya? Some are celebrating it on Sunday because Monday is a working day. So imagine what will happen. All those who are celebrating Ona Sadhya on Sunday, enjoy the Sadhya, but keep some space so that at 4 o'clock you can attend, okay? And understand. Jokes apart. So the idea of space, which limits my body, etc., it cannot limit my mind. My body is caught up in space. I can only be here. But mentally, I can be anywhere. No? 4 walls do not a prison make, nor iron bars a cage. Why? I can be with my beloved in my thoughts. It's a very, very famous English poem to Athalia from prison. Because your mind is not limited by space. If your mind itself is not limited by space, in fact space is conceived by your mind, like how time is, how can it limit the consciousness that I am? Anantam Jananam. Anantam Jananam. I know some of you have heard this before, but pay attention to the nuances that I have said brought in here. Anantam Jnanam. Because of the word Anantam, from the word Jnanam, we have removed everything that can possibly limit it. Body, mind, etc. Knower. Jnanam we are taken as knower. And from that knower, we negated anything, any form, like how from the gold we negated the bangle, the ring and the chain, etc. From this knower, we negated all that is, all that can limit, we negated. And what is left behind? What is left behind? That consciousness which is limitlessness, unconditioned by time and space. Anantam Jnanam. Anantam Jnanam. Can you see how? That's why I said that Anantam is like a control word there, Yeah. Because Anantam Jnanam, nothing is affected. Even if you take the word Jnanam as knowledge, will be the same thing. From the word knowledge, what is knowledge? Depending on a thought in your mind. No? When the consciousness is manifest in your mind, in a particular thought of an object, that is Jnanam, knowledge. From there you negate all the limiting factors, what will be left behind? Pure consciousness alone. I'll come to the object of knowledge a bit later. For that, I will bring in the word Satyam. I still have 2 more full lectures, okay? Don't worry. So, in this manner, the word Anantam, what does it do? It reveals the Brahman, the limitlessness, as what? As myself. Jnanam. Because of the word Jnanam, I come into the picture. If the word Jnanam was not there, it may be difficult to bring in. Not really, but it little bit more difficult than how it is now. But because the word Jnanam was used, I come into the picture. I am that Jnanam. Knower. And that Jnanam is Anantam. Therefore, I consciousness is Anantam. Therefore, I am that limitless consciousness. That much we have come to. Is this clear for everyone? Is this clear? If there are any questions in your mind about this particular thing, ask right now. About this topic. About other topics we'll open up in a few minutes. But about this topic, if there is any question, please shoot. About how you are Anantam Jnanam. Any doubts you have, please shoot. Yeah? About what? That consciousness and knowledge? Or consciousness and knower? Consciousness and knowledge. Look at it. Yeah. Hold on. Consciousness manifests in the mind is also indicated by the word Jnanam, but the Jnanam there will mean knowledge of a particular thing, like book. Now, from this knowledge of book, I'll negate all that is limiting. What is limiting it? First, the object book. Second, my mind, my thought, negate. What will be left behind? Unmanifest consciousness, pure consciousness. Objectless consciousness, which is limitlessness anyway, as we have seen. Got it? Did you get that? Moilin? Brahman is revealed by all the 3 words, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. There, Anantam is almost like a control word because that word throws a lot of weight on Satyam and Jnanam. Because Satyam and Jnanam has to be in harmony with Anantam. That's how you come to the word meaning of Jnanam as pure consciousness, where actually Jnanam can be taken as knower, it can be taken as knowledge in Sanskrit, it can be taken as object of knowledge also. It can be taken as the mind as well. The word Jnanam has all these possible meanings. Why? Dhatoho anekartatvat. Because a dhatu, a root in Sanskrit, can have more than one meaning. More than one meaning can evolve out of it. Yeah. Therefore, all these 4 meanings are possible. But because of the word Anantam, we can arrive at the word Jnanam as being pure consciousness, because Anantam means limitlessness. Therefore, all that limits consciousness is negated. Are you getting the idea? The word Jnanam is not negated. For those who heard it from me technically, the whole word Jnanam is not negated. From Jnanam, only that which limits is negated. I deliberately am not going to go into Lakshana, Bhagatyaga Lakshana, etc. I want it as pure unfoldment this time, so they will go straight to your heart without the technicalities. Technicalities is scholarship. It's good to have the scholarship, but it's more important to have the vision. So I want you all to get the vision in this camp. Those who already got it will be strengthened. Those who have not got it will get it in this camp. Yes, Moilin, you wanted to ask something. Someone said, Swamiji, who's that? Yeah. Bharati said, okay, yes, Bharati, tell me. Good question. Mind slowing down with age is not really mind slowing down, it is your brain function slowing down. The body. The mind is the software in the brain. For those who have not heard this before, the mind is the software in the brain. Brain is the hardware. So hardware problems can have issues with the software also. Yeah. So that is what, when you say mind is slowing down, Alzheimer's, etc., they are all brain issues. They are not mind issues. Yeah. Whereas depression, etc., can be because of physical causes, brain causes,